Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I am recording this on August 28th. We're going to talk a lot about West Nile, Eastern equine encephalitis virus, and what different cities or states are doing in the United States to try to mitigate the issue, and how you need to prepare not only to boost up your immune system, but also how to mitigate the negative effects of the spraying that they're doing in some of the cities or in some of the states. They're spraying in Massachusetts. My understanding is they're spraying in New York. We'll go over it and what you need to do to mitigate some of these problems. Then we're also going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, a little bit about Trump. And also, this is going to be a broadcast that's going to cover a few topics. But with that said, please make sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. It's really important that you subscribe to all those channels because there's censorship. There's certain things that I can say that can only go on, Rumble, Bitchute, or Brighteon. In addition, I do the premieres on YouTube, so please watch those. Those are really important to participate in the chat. So I appreciate the viewership. I appreciate the ones that are following me on a regular basis. But make sure that you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube: Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. If you would like to help support my work, because I have thousands of videos for free, you can donate on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video. Just click the link. It'll take you to my website, and you can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee on the homepage at the very bottom. You can also be a paid member to my Patreon channel. That way, you are helping support the news coverage. In addition, higher tiered members on Patreon get access to some of my medical lectures on pulmonology and immunology. With that said, let's start with going over the news and talking about West Nile virus. For the ones that haven't seen it already, I have done a detailed overview of Mpox, what the proteins that are involved in the fusion, the proteins that are involved in shutting down the innate and the adaptive immune system, or the cell-mediated parts of the immune system. So I go into a lot of detail. So please watch the video that I did that is dealing with Mpox, a detailed overview. All right, I think it's about 45 minutes long or so, but it really gives you a good overview of what Mpox is. All right, I probably need to do one for West Nile and probably another one for Eastern equine encephalitis. With that said, let's go over the West Nile virus.
It's an alarming sight. Trucks driving through neighborhoods spraying large amounts of insecticide, with residents being told to stay inside. It's all talking about the outbreak of the mosquito-borne West Nile virus, which has even struck the nation's most famous doctor, Ph.D. But what's it like to have West Nile? Les Trent spoke with some people who know firsthand.
It started as a little mosquito bite, and it turned into a months-long medical nightmare for this woman. The 30-year-old got bitten by the mosquito while leading a Girl Scout hike last summer.
It started a day or 2 after we got back. I got Bell's palsy, reactions, stroke-like symptoms.
Brittany Yeager came down with a severe case of West Nile virus that affected her central nervous system. A year later, she's still taking 30 pills a day.
My speech was gone. My processing, I couldn't think straight.
67-year-old John Brittingham from Santa Fe, New Mexico, was placed on a ventilator.
I was in ICU for 3 weeks. I don't remember it.
There are 2,500 cases of West Nile virus every year. And that includes Dr. Anthony Fauci, who just spent 6 days in the hospital after contracting the illness from a mosquito in his backyard. Patients usually experience mild symptoms like fever, headache, and vomiting, which resolve on their own. For patients like Brittany, though, the virus can have more drastic health implications.
There's no cure.
Officials here in New York City are doing everything they can to control the mosquito population, spraying pesticide throughout the city to help curb the spread of the disease, including right here in Central Park. So how can you protect yourself? Experts say cover exposed skin, use bug spray, and remove stagnant water where mosquitoes can breed. These two patients have a message to America. Take West Nile seriously.
I still can hardly believe it, that one mosquito bite could do this kind of damage.
One problem is that global warming has extended mosquito season, leading to more spread of the disease.
This is why I keep on saying, you don't know when it's going to happen. It may be a small probability for you, but if it does, certain types of diseases, if you contract them, may cause major illness. So it's low probability, high impact event. Again, this is part of the reason why I've been covering the crisis since 2020, because it's all about chaos theory. All right. And a lot of people don't pay attention. The ones that have paid attention, I've navigated you the best I can, and you fared relatively well. You need to pay attention on what I have to say about this, because there's two things that you need to worry about. One are the viruses that we're talking about that are low probability but high impact, like West Nile and EEE. In addition, you need to mitigate the effects of the spraying that these municipalities are doing in your area. Remember what I said, and I'm not going to repeat myself on this video, but in detail, but it's about neutralizing pathogens, bringing down inflammation, and controlling reactive oxygen species. That way your immune system is revved up. So if a low probability, high impact event happens to you, you have a better chance. Okay. In terms of the mosquitoes, it's best not to go outside when the mosquitoes are out. So, at dusk, right? So stay indoors, so you're not getting bit, at night, and so that you lower down the probability. This is a low probability, high impact event. All right. If you happen to get it, you might die from it. All right. You might have severe long-term illness if you get it. But it's low probability, high impact. Okay. There's a lot of nefarious things that are going on out there. All right. It's suspect that this is all happening right before the general election for the presidential election. And we're probably going to see a ramp up of problems even in the Midwest, like the blue wall states where they're, in play. These are the battleground states. Right now, the problems are on the New England states and the eastern seaboard states. All right, so let's just kind of just step back and look at all the data points, not just the scientific ones, but some of the other ones that look like, well, there seems to be a coincidence with the general election. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the United States. They've been experimenting with using mosquitoes as inoculation vectors and all this stuff for vaccines. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. So how do you mitigate it? You need to boost up your immune system, like I've told you 1,000 times. But I'm going to go over some products where, if you're not feeling well right away, what you can do, and how to mitigate some of the chemicals that they're spraying. These chemicals not only are to try to kill off the mosquitoes and interrupt their life cycle chain, but when you breathe them in, or you touch a surface that's been sprayed, right? these are toxins. Now, these are toxins that need to be taken out of your body. Long-term exposure to these things, or a high dose short-term exposure, could cause neurological symptoms and other immune type issues. You got to filter this out of your body. So that basically means this. You need to go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and I have different ways to detoxify your body. One great way to detoxify your body is to get the zeolite. Zeolite is a compound that is a negative compound, a negatively charged compound that will attach to positively charged compounds, toxins, chemicals, and get those chemicals out of your body. When you take the zeolite, it's a dropper, and you just put it underneath your tongue, and it will soak up those toxins in your body, and you excrete them out through your urine in about 6 to 8 hours. All right, so you do this every day, right? And you just detoxify your body. But if you're being exposed to these sprays, you need to be doing this to make sure that you're mitigating the negative effects of these chemicals that they're spraying, because you're going to be breathing it in. And when you breathe these chemicals in, they will get into your bloodstream and affect your body. You may be touching surfaces, a tree or a bush, or something, a bench outside or whatever. You may touch something, your car, for example. You may touch something that has these chemicals on it. So you have to beware with this situation, especially if you have pets. You're going to be walking your pet around, and all of a sudden, you're exposing your pet to those chemicals. You're exposing yourself to those chemicals, and you're bringing them into the house. So you got to be careful with this. All right, these chemicals, long-term exposure, even in small quantities, can do damage to your health, and short-term exposure at high concentrations can do damage to your body. So you need to protect your neurons, and you need to protect your endocrine system. All right. So one great way to do this is to use zeolite. So go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get zeolite and use it as a way to detoxify harmful chemicals, toxins, heavy metals out of your body. All right. This is really important. If you're on medication, if you're on medication for whatever, zeolite might soak up your medication and get rid of it quicker. So you have to talk to your doctor before you take zeolite if you're on medication. All right, because the zeolite might take the medication out of your blood, and that might not be good for you if you need your medication. So just keep that in mind. In addition, there are other ways to mitigate some of these problems. All right, irritants. When you're breathing it in, you may get an irritant. So again, we're going into the cold season. So people are going to be exposed to SARS-CoV-2, RSV, influenza, different versions of influenza, potentially other things like mpox and others. Who knows? But the cold season, I think, is going to be problematic for the United States. I don't think it's going to be catastrophic, but I think it'll be problematic. So it's going to be important that the moment you get an irritation during the cold season, or even during a spraying, because a lot of people are going to start getting the throat irritation. What you need to do is go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the lozenges or the drops. I have it in honey, Manuka honey in a 21 count. I have elderberry zinc in a 21 count lozenges. And I also have 3 different versions of drops. I have cherry drops in a 100 count, honey lemon in a 100 count, and blueberry in a 100 count. All right. So you just take the drops or the lozenges. The moment you feel a irritation, okay? This is with cold season allergy season or even during someone spraying in your area, in your neighborhood. Because what happens is that you'll get this irritant, pathogen, antigen, or some sort of chemical irritant in your oral cavity. And if you have a mucosal lining that is disrupted, then that chemical, antigen, or pathogen can get into your system easier if there's a disruption in the barrier, in your epithelial lining barrier, and your mucosal barrier. So what you want to do is use these lozenges, and they'll soak up. You're secreting, and it's neutralizing this chemical. All right. If it's a pathogen, then it's neutralizing the pathogen because of the structural nanosilver. But the secretions are going to surround this chemical, and you're going to swallow it. Right. You're going to swallow it, and it's going to go through your digestive tract. All right. So, but the thing is that you're preventing it from getting into your upper airway, and you're preventing it to getting into your bloodstream through your upper system. Now, the key is that you have a good gut biome. So you need to take a good probiotic. I have 2 probiotics. I have a powder probiotic, and I have a VeggieCap probiotic on my store. So you go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get a good probiotic to make sure that your GI tract isn't inflamed and that you have a good gut biome. So when you swallow these things, when you ingest these chemicals, because you're breathing it in and you're swallowing it, that you're reducing the chances of it getting into your inner lining of your gut. If you have a good gut biome and a good mucosal lining in your gut, these chemicals will just pass through your GI tract, right? But you add the probability of it getting into your system if you're breathing it in without using the lozenges, and you're increasing your chances of getting it into your system if you have a bad gut biome, because you're swallowing. You're breathing in and you're swallowing, and it can get in your system, right? So you're trying to mitigate that, all right? These chemicals that they're spraying are not good for your neurons, all right, or your endocrine system or your immune system. So you don't want them around, all right? But it's going to be hard to prevent you from breathing this stuff in as they're spraying, because it's just going to dissipate. So get some bags of lozenges, and the moment you have an irritation, or the moment you are starting to notice that they're spraying in your area, take some of these lozenges or drops. Okay, so you're soaking up some of those chemicals that you're breathing in, and you're just swallowing it down. Right? Like I said, use some of my probiotics to maintain a good gut biome, and it will help to mitigate that. Zeolite, you take the zeolite, assuming you don't have any medications, right? You're not taking any medications, and you take the zeolite and you just detoxify your body from the chemicals that are being sprayed for the West Nile virus, or they're even spraying for E. So they're trying to get rid of these mosquitoes. They're going to spray a lot. If this starts to get higher cases, they're going to spray a lot across the country. All right. So you got to be prepared. In addition, the things that I'm telling you are going to help you through the cold season too. So there's a dual purpose here. All right. So, but the key is that if you are in an area and they're spraying, use the lozenges or the drops to mitigate some of that chemical in your throat, and just swallow it. And then as you're using the lozenge, and then take the zeolite. If you're on medication, you need to talk to your doctor before you're on zeolite, because the zeolite might inhibit the medication. All right, because the zeolite is going to try to take those toxins and chemicals out of your body that shouldn't be there. And most allopathic medications are synthetic. So, okay. With that said, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Get the lozenges, get the zeolite. All right. Another way is that the structural nanosilver gel that I have, just lightly coat your nostrils. All right. So as you're breathing in, you're creating a barrier. So it's harder for those chemicals that they're spraying to get into your respiratory tract. All right. But the thing here is that you have to mitigate. Don't be outside when they're spraying. Don't be outside at night. Just so you're staying away from the mosquitoes. Of course, keep water out. Keep stilled water away from your house so that you're not breeding. And you're going to need to mitigate these chemicals that they're spraying. The zeolite is going to be a major way to do that. All right. So just pay attention to this. You should detoxify your body because of the stuff that they're spraying for West Nile or Triple E by using zeolite, assuming that you're not on medications and that your doctor, if you are on medications, approves zeolite, because there's some medication that you can't be off. So you might not be able to take zeolite. So the thing is the ones that aren't on medication, you can take with zeolite, there's no problem. All right, so with that said, let's see, let's play some more videos about West Nile here.
This morning, several towns across the Northeast on alert, some even closing outdoor public areas and issuing voluntary curfews to prevent the spread of potentially dangerous mosquito-borne illnesses. The country's well-known infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, hospitalized after contracting West Nile virus. The 83-year-old now home and expected to make a full recovery. The CDC saying West Nile has been detected in more than 30 states. Experts warning rising temperatures and rainfall are boosting the mosquito population, leading to an increased risk for mosquito-borne infections.
Given the fact that the climate is getting warmer, more and more mosquitoes are outside, so we have to make sure that we're mindful of that.
Right now in Massachusetts, public health officials declaring 8 communities, including Boston, at high risk for West Nile.
I do have some bug spray if I do notice, and then I'll just zip myself.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Parks and fields
even with just not even including what the city will be spraying with the trucks into your neighborhood. People are using bug spray all over the place now. So there's toxins. These are things that are not good for your pet, not good for your body. So you're going to have to, if you're around people that are spraying constantly, you're breathing that in, you're touching that stuff. If you are spraying in your house or spraying at your house, you're going to be ingesting somehow, some way, these chemicals. So you need to detoxify these chemicals, because these things aren't good for your immune system, your endocrine system, your neurons, not at all. So what you need to do is just pay attention to me, all right? The structural nanosilver gel, just lightly coat your nostrils as a barrier, right? The zeolite to take out those toxins that you're ingesting, assuming that you're not on medication, all right? And and if you're on medication, you need to talk to your doctor about that, because certain medications you're not going to be able to use if you're going to try to detoxify your body with zeolite. So, but most people are not on medications that are listening. And so if you're not on medications, take the zeolite, detoxify your body. In addition, you're going to need that the moment that you breathe in something and you start to feel an irritation, boom, make sure that you take the structural nanosilver lozenges or the drops right away. So you're reducing the chances of it getting into your system through a poor mucosal lining, because these irritants are going to erode the mucosal lining of your oral tract and your upper respiratory area. All right. So it's really, and you got to make sure that you wash off these damn chemicals, because these things are not good for you. So, this woman is saying, "Oh, I'll just spray bug repellent." Well, you know what? Your endocrine system is going to be trashed. Your immune system is going to get trashed. You're going to have dermatological issues. So, and neurons are going to have problems. All right, that's just the chemicals that they spray, let alone the actual virus. And we heard what could potentially happen. You know, there's neurological problems with West Nile and Tripoli. So it's important to, you know, pay attention to this. Be careful. Be careful. And detoxify your body, because you don't want the long-term side effects of the chemicals in your body disrupting your endocrine system and your neurons. Because when they do that, now think about it.
Through September.
When they do that, when they spray and you're ingesting it, you're weakening your immune system. So the cold season comes, it's easier for you to contract influenza now, or maybe easier to contract SARS-CoV-2, or maybe easier to contract monkeypox, mpox. If you have a weakened immune system, it's easier for these things to get into your system. On top of, you know, people being fearful of going to the election booth. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So you just be cognizant of it and mitigate it. Zeolite to filter out those toxins out of your body. The structural nanosilver liquid, structural nanosilver lozenges. The moment you have an irritation in your throat because of this spraying, this crazy spraying, the structural nanosilver gel to lightly coat your nostrils. You can also put that on your skin as a barrier. It's really important. Pay attention. All right, let's play this one now.
One of the things that's made Lutron different in this space from the beginning is we're able to guarantee performance and quality at a level.
This morning, communities across Massachusetts are on high alert after state health officials confirmed the first case of Eastern equine encephalitis in 4 years. The patient, an 80-year-old man in Worcester County.
It definitely makes me think about it. I don't know if I wouldn't go out. I'd probably just wear long pants and long sleeves.
EEE is a rare but very serious virus that can cause severe swelling of the brain. Symptoms include fever, headache, vomiting, and behavioral changes. According to the CDC, an estimated 30% of those infected will die, and survivors are often permanently disabled, suffering from long-term neurological problems.
We're at a critical time of the year for mosquito-borne illnesses of all kinds, including EEE, which has a higher risk of leading to hospitalizations and potentially being fatal.
Authorities are so concerned, they've announced plans to spray pesticides from airplanes and trucks across more than a dozen high-risk communities. And several towns have either announced park closures or voluntary curfews, recommending residents limit activity outdoors from dusk until dawn, when mosquitoes are most active.
I think it's absolutely ludicrous.
The safety precautions risk disrupting youth sports just as the school year is getting underway.
This basically shuts our season down from day one.
It comes as West Nile virus continues its menacing march across much of the U.S., with 33 states reporting.
That's why I keep on saying you have to filter out the toxins out of your body through zeolite when they spray in your area, because it's going to lower your immune system, create an endocrine disruption. All right, it's going to cause problems, neurological problems. You need to get this gel, the structural nanosilver gel on my store. Lightly coat your nostrils, so it's reducing the chances of ingesting it through inhalation, right? And maintaining that barrier, maintaining a barrier. Putting it on your skin, creating a barrier, all right? So you're just keeping the chemicals off your body because there's creating this gel barrier, but it also is somewhat protecting you from these bug bites, all right, from the mosquito. I don't think it's, I don't think that there's any research that shows that structural nanosilver prevents a mosquito bite, but the thing is that the structural nanosilver, it does neutralize pathogens. So if a piercing does take place in the skin, you're reducing the chances of some sort of tick-borne or bug-borne virus infection or bacterial infection or parasitic infection. So, but the thing is that structural nanosilver creating a barrier increases your chances of protection. But it's important, right? Now, there's irritation that takes place when you get a bug bite. And I have this Even Better bar. This is made from essential oils from the Himalayas, all natural. All right. If you get a bug bite, a mosquito bite, rub this on the mosquito bite. The itching will go away. So you're reducing that inflammatory response. All right. And reducing the chances of getting a larger wound. All right. And it'll heal quicker. All right. So you should be getting the Even Better bar and applying it on a bug bite right away. All right. And that will kind of help heal the situation. All right. It eliminates the actual itching from the bug bite. Now, because of the toxins breathing in the toxins and these viruses affect the nervous system, it's important to take certain things that are neuroprotective. All right. And that you want to reduce that kind of the reactive oxygen species. So NAD Plus is a new product that I have on my store. This will help to have energy for the cell, but it also helps with neuroprotection. All right. It helps the neurons. So please go to the store and get the NAD Plus to maintain this neural health. All right. So let's continue with the video here.
Cases this year, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, the face of the government's response to COVID, who was recently hospitalized and is now recovering at home, expected to make a full recovery.
I think that if you're in a warm part of the country, which is everywhere right now, you should be concerned enough that you should take precautions to protect yourself.
Tonight, central Massachusetts on high alert for a potentially deadly mosquito-borne virus called Triple E, after an elderly man became the state's first case since 2020. Triple E, or Eastern Equine Encephalitis, can cause severe neurological issues and has residents so concerned that officials in one town are recommending a 6 p.m. to sunrise curfew when mosquitoes are most active. NBC medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel.
How worried should we actually be about this?
I think that if you're in a
I didn't even listen to her. I'll just answer. It's low probability but high impact. Low probability, high impact. If you get Triple E, you have a problem. All right, but it's low probability.
Right now, you should be concerned enough that you should take precautions to protect yourself.
That includes West Nile virus, now reported in 33 states. One of those cases, infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, recently hospitalized with the virus.
It feels like we're seeing more mosquitoes, but are there actually more mosquitoes out?
We are seeing higher mosquito activity than in summers past, but that's because we are seeing longer and more protracted summer seasons.
So how can you keep safe? Apply insect repellent, wear protective clothing, and drain standing water outdoors.
Okay, so draining the water outdoors so they can't breed, great idea. Cover your, full body cover for your clothing, right? Good idea, right? But this insect repellent is toxic to your body, to your pets. The stuff that they're going to be spraying in your community is toxic. All right, it's going to affect your endocrine system, and it's going to affect your nervous system. And this is why I keep on saying you need to kind of protect your body. You boost up your immune system, boost up your endocrine system, and boost up your neural health. All right, because high dose in a short amount of time can do damage to your body with these chemicals that they're spraying. Also, low dose, over a long period of time can also affect your body. All right. That's why you need to detoxify this stuff out of your body with a zeolite. Detoxify this stuff out of your body with the NAC. The NAC is an antioxidant and also helps to detoxify your cells. So the NAC is really important to take. All right. So, and by doing that, by taking things that are an antioxidant and help to detoxify the body like NAC, then you're going to be improving your immune system. NAD plus, like I said before, helps to boost up the energy of your cell, but it also repairs your damage to your DNA. Well, these chemicals are going to be damaging your DNA, and these chemicals are going to be damaging and putting stress on the cell. So you need to take strong antioxidants and stuff that will help to repair mitochondria and DNA. And that's what NAD helps with, on top of the neuroprotection. All right. So just these chemicals are a problem on top of the actual virus. Now, there's not really good treatment with West Nile. There's not really good treatment for triple E. All right. All you can do is do some prophylactic things to try to boost up your immune system, create these barriers, like taking the structural nanosilver gel and creating a barrier on your skin and your nostrils, lightly coat your nostrils, creating barriers the moment you feel an irritation, in your throat. Take a lozenge or a drop. Improve your gut health by taking a probiotic, stuff like that, right? Taking stuff like olive leaf extract, which helps to boost up the immune system by bringing down inflammation. If you're chronically inflamed, your immune system is down. This also helps with cardiovascular fitness by bringing down LDL and helping with HDL. But olive leaf extract will help to boost up your immune system. The better your immune system is, the better it is to fight something that it hasn't seen before. The weaker your immune system is, the harder it's going to be to fight something it hasn't seen before.
Concerns as summer winds down. Stephen Roma, NBC News.
I'm not trying.
Paying $14.99.
I'm trying to teach people that you can take charge somewhat of the things that are going on in your life. And in this part of the video, it's all about how to get those chemicals out of your body that people are spraying around you, especially the municipality, and how to try to mitigate insect-borne pathogens. There's no silver bullet, but the thing is that it's about, it's about trying to improve your health.
Eye on Health is live tonight. More crews are spraying for mosquitoes in North Texas. We have talked about that with you. They're hoping to fight West Nile virus.
Okay, so we have it in Massachusetts. We know that they're doing it in Massachusetts, the spraying. We know that they're spraying in New York and now in Texas.
Human cases in our area and really around the country. Last week, Denton reported 3 human cases, and today we learned that Dr. Anthony Fauci had to stay in the hospital for almost a week after he contracted the virus. Thankfully, he's now home recovering, but we do have to start off with this topic. We've got Dr. Carol Holloway from Baylor Scott and White with us tonight. First question is, we've seen kind of how the cases are piling up in our state, symptoms we should watch for, and is there any one particular group of people that's maybe more at risk of getting it?
Yes, so you want to watch for fatigue, fevers. In serious cases, you can also see tremors, dizziness, confusion. At this point, still, about 80% of people who contract this virus will be fine.
Okay.
I may not feel anything.
Okay, so that's good news. Anybody that's more susceptible, and also I guess some people get a bite and they say, "Oh, no big deal."
First of all, you don't know if that mosquito is going to give you the triple E or the West Nile. And again, like I said, in terms of severity, all right, it's a low probability event, but high impact. All right, low probability, high impact. But the other side of the problem here is that all the spraying that's going to disrupt your endocrine system, affect your skin, affect your immune system, and your neurons. The stuff they spray is not good for your body, period.
Anything to look for on the actual bite that may be a sign that this is West Nile?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, hardest part about it, right?
Yes,
See it.
yes. And we're more concerned about those with low immune systems, elderly, people taking medications.
This is the reason why I keep on saying it's all about making sure that your immune system is boosted up.
Things like that can decrease their immune system.
Okay, good reminders. Remind us how we can protect ourselves from this, because I know, the spraying is going on. We'll always say mosquito spray, long clothing. Is there anything else we can do?
Repellent is big, long clothing, as you said. If you can stay inside in the AC, that's great. Make sure you have screens on your windows and doors, because this heat that we have.
Now, one thing in their recommendation is about making sure that your endocrine system is boosted up and healthy and in homeostasis. Now, one thing did they say about boosting up your immune system? Now, one thing did they say about bringing down chronic inflammation? Because trust me on this, I know what I'm talking about. Chronic inflammation is going to reduce your immune system. People that have stress in their cells and have high reactive oxygen species are going to bring down their immune system. That's why you need to take strong antioxidants. You need to improve your endocrine system with that proper diet, proper exercise, and proper supplementation. I told you a great way to do that is taking the turmerics and the ashwagandhas and the lignans. Repair the stress that is damaging your DNA and your mitochondria by taking NAD+. Detoxify your cells and boost up your glutathione levels so you can soak up those free radicals better by taking NAC. And NAC is synergistic with C60. C60 is really strong as an antioxidant. It soaks up those free radicals. So it's reducing the cellular stress and helps to improve your mitochondrial health, so you have energy that will be needed for your immune system and your endocrine system. So go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the C60. I have it in extra virgin olive oil. I have it in MCT coconut oil. And I also have it in avocado oil. C60 is a buckyball. It's a molecule that is 60 carbons. It is dissolved in an oil, in avocado or extra virgin olive oil or in coconut oil, because it's lipid soluble. And the C60 will soak up those free radicals in the body. These chemicals that they're spraying are going to create a lot of free radicals in your cells. You need to soak those up, or you're going to have cellular damage. So take the C60. And synergistically, you're taking the NAC to help to detoxify those cells and to boost up your glutathione levels, right? And that's an antioxidant. And this will help with neural health. The NAD plus helps to boost up the energy levels. Really important, but it's gonna help with DNA repair. You think your cells are gonna work really well with DNA problems with damage, DNA damage? No, they don't. See, these recommendations here are only first level. But if you want second or third level on how to mitigate the problems of the spraying and how and try to reduce the high impact event if you do get a particular mosquito bite, you got to be listening to what I'm saying to do. Because these people, I'm telling you, the people that are in the news, that are the celebrity docs, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They only do first level. They only do drain the water away from your house. Wear long clothing. Don't be outside during the mosquitoes at night, and use bug repellent. They don't tell you how to detoxify the bug repellent. They don't tell you how bad the bug repellent that they're spraying in your city with these trucks that go by, how bad that is for your neurons, for your endocrine system, for your immune system, for your skin. No, they don't do that. Shit.
Wetness of the spring, all of that is what they like.
Yeah, we don't like that. Standing water too, right? No standing water. Okay. Another hot headline that you're getting a double whammy here that we want to talk about. This is from a study in the Netherlands. It's about high blood pressure. Yeah. Can you talk to us about how the study is linking blood pressure and migraines in women specifically?
Yes. So this study, they looked at 7,000 men and women, average age around 67 years old, and they found a link between diastolic blood pressure.
Time now is 6:03. While you were sleeping, we learned the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is now reporting 6 confirmed human cases of West Nile virus in Georgia, including 4 cases in Metro Atlanta. 11 Liza Lucas joining us live with one woman's story from right here in Atlanta. Liza, this virus starts from something we've all experienced, just a little mosquito bite.
That's right, and so often we don't think much of it, and that's what Ann Diller said. She saw those pesky mosquitoes, put it away. It's just part of summer, she says. But she continues right now to be stuck in a hospital bed. So now she's using her story and her experience to warn others.
The whole thing is just completely crazy. I get bit by mosquitoes constantly in the summer, my whole life. I never thought a thing about it.
Ann Dillard speaking via Zoom from her hospital bed at Emory.
From my mid-core down, I'm practically paralyzed. I can feel it, but the muscle strength is gone.
What started as a rash, she says, soon spread across her body, and then came other symptoms.
I was starting to feel a little off, like, weak and sort of low appetite. I feel like I probably just had COVID or the flu or something. I'm just blowing it all off.
But then it got worse.
I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, put my legs over, and they buckle underneath me.
Once at Emory, doctors ran her through multiple tests before she got the news.
Saturday, interestingly enough, like 10 minutes after the report about Dr. Fauci came,
the former top U.S. infectious disease expert who confirmed he'd been hospitalized with West Nile.
The neurologist came in and said, it's West Nile virus. And I was like, you are kidding me.
The virus spreads through mosquitoes, and right now the CDC is reporting 6 cases across Georgia. Dillard lives near Pond City Market and says she's not been camping and has not traveled.
Okay,
So
we have Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, we have New York, Massachusetts. This is gonna be a problem.
An infected mosquito around her home or over by the nearby Beltline. Ahead of what's sure to be a busy holiday weekend, she now wants others to be aware.
If I can do anything to prevent anyone from going through this, it's totally worth it.
Now, so far, the CDC is reporting cases in Hall County, Cherokee, Fulton, and DeKalb. And Ann tells us that she will be moving to rehab next. She's got a lot of physical therapy in front of her. And unfortunately, there's no full-time line on how long recovery could take.
This is why it's so important once you get this, and it's, showing the manifestations of the neurological diseases, that you need to be taking things like what I'm saying, the NAD plus, the NAC, the ubiquinol, You got to be boosting up your immune system, right? You got to bring down those reactive oxygen species by taking the C60s. The neural health protection is going to be really, really important on this. All right. So like I said, I'm going to repeat myself here. NAD plus, it helps with energy. So that's going to provide more, more energy source for your cells to be healthy and for metabolism. But not just that, NAD plus helps to repair DNA damage. All right. And it helps for neural protection. Okay. NAC is an antioxidant. It helps to bring up your glutathione levels. That's really important because you're going to need to soak up those free radicals because the chemicals they spray, and if you do get something, you're going to have a lot of free radicals. All right. You need to soak those up. NAC also helps to detoxify the body. So that's going to be important, especially with the chemicals that they spray. And on top of this, this helps with mental health. So there are going to be a lot of people that have, certain types of mental health issues, and mood swings and anxiety and all that. Taking NAC will help to kind of mitigate some of those problems. So it helps with mental health. So NAC helps with mental health. It helps with bringing up your glutathione levels. It's a strong antioxidant, and it helps to detoxify the body. Olive leaf extract, really important to boost up your immune system by bringing down that inflammatory response. It also helps with the cardiovascular, so it's a dual purpose. And like I said, the C60, either in extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil or coconut oil, really important to take a teaspoon of this a day to soak up those free radicals. C60 is synergistic with the NAC. The NAC helps to bring up your glutathione levels as an antioxidant, and the C60 soaks up those free radicals directly with the C60 molecule. So you're attacking it in two different directions. Really important. If you do get a bug bite, to reduce that inflammatory response, get the even better bar and apply it on the bug bite, and it'll reduce that itching. And by reducing the itching, you're not going to keep on scratching it and making the wound worse. So please go to the store and get that. And like I said, create a barrier on your skin so it prevents the chemicals from touching the skin, right? And then you're also lightly coating your nostrils to create a barrier so you're not breathing. You're protecting that epithelial lining in your nostrils. So when these chemicals that you're breathing in, they don't get into your system as easily. So that's really important. The moment you feel an irritation in your throat, because we're going into the cold season, right? The moment you get an irritation in your throat from the chemicals they spray or from the cold season, use the lozenges or the drops. Really important, and you'll mitigate it right away, right? And you're neutralizing that reaction. And hopefully, what happens is that it keeps it at bay, and it doesn't make it worse. It doesn't. The chemical that you're breathing in, if it creates a lot of irritation, it's going to create a lot of disruption on that membrane. So you're going to be weakening your innate immune system. You don't want that. So you want to maintain that barrier. And these lozenges and drops will help you maintain that barrier. So, and again, I have it in Manuka honey for the lozenges, elderberry and zinc for the lozenges, honey and lemon for the drops in the 100 count, cherry drops in the 100 count, and blueberry drops in the 100 count. I know it sounds like an infomercial, but it works. This thing that I'm telling you works. Just do it. Take the C60, strong antioxidant. Take the drops or lozenges to mitigate the irritation in your throat, to maintain the barrier that you need. Take the even better bar and apply it to the bug bite to reduce the wound, because people that have a bug bite and they're scratching it will make it worse. C60 is a strong antioxidant, so it'll soak up those free radicals from the chemicals that you breathe and the free radicals that are formed when you get infected. Olive leaf extract boosts up your immune system, also helps with your cardiovascular system. The NAD+, really important to help to heal your DNA damage from the chemicals or from the infection. It will help to improve your energy levels and help as a brain health, to help with brain health. NAC is a strong antioxidant. It boosts up your glutathione levels, so it'll soak up those free radicals. It's synergistic with C60. And it also helps to detoxify the cell, and it will help with mental health. It'll improve your mental health.
Pain has really been excruciating. Live in the newsroom, Liza Lucas, 11 Alive News.
All right, we hope it is a speedy recovery, Liza. Thank you. The best way for you to avoid getting West Nile virus is to prevent mosquito bites. Experts recommend bug spray. Make sure the screens on your windows are intact. Wear long sleeves when you can. And it's a good idea to remove standing water from around your home. For a closer look at Dillard's story and what we know about these current cases of West Nile in Georgia, you'll find more information on 11alive.com or download our free 11 Alive mobile app.
This one is.
Oh, wow.
She's been looking for an insight in that data forever.
Before we go to Mpox, there was one more video I saw that I wanted to play.
Time now is 6:03. While you were sleeping,
This one's in Philadelphia.
It's not unheard of, but a rare and potentially deadly mosquito-borne virus has prompted nearly a dozen U.S. towns to close the public parks at night and restrict outdoor activities. This virus spreads through infected mosquito bites, with 1 of 3 confirmed U.S. cases now in Atlantic County, New Jersey. This comes as West Nile virus cases have emerged, including in Camden County. Action News anchor John Paul joins us now live with what you need to know, as well as how you can protect yourself. John.
Yeah, sure. So you're talking about Eastern equine encephalitis. That's what it's known as. And it was just found in New Jersey, also in parts of Massachusetts. Also, West Nile virus has been found throughout the viewing area. Both of these diseases have the potential to be deadly. These are very dangerous. That's why places like the Bucks County Health Department, they're trying to get ahead of this. They're targeting areas and treating for mosquitoes.
All mosquito technicians throughout Pennsylvania carry one of these.
The mosquito control coordinator at the Bucks County Department of Health is on the hunt for tiny insects causing big problems.
If there was West Nile present in a mosquito, we know about it in Bucks County.
In fact, West Nile has already been discovered in mosquitoes all across the area, thanks to an aggressive testing campaign.
The mosquitoes lay their eggs on the surface of the water.
Developing these traps set out to capture mosquitoes. The specimens are then shipped off to a state lab for testing. Infected mosquitoes have been found in nearly every county in Pennsylvania.
The amount of West Nile activity that we've seen has been relatively high this year compared to, say,
Pennsylvania is a battleground state. See what I mean? You got to zoom out and don't just look at the science data points, but also some of the other metadata points, right? And then come to a conclusion. And I'm telling you, there's something going on that is trying to circumvent the general election. On top of, you got to worry about the chemicals that they're spraying, and you have to worry about the actual virus that's spread by the mosquito. So there's 3 things that are going on here. They're only telling you about the mosquitoes and what they carry, and stay away. Make sure that water is away from your household, and wear long sleeves. Don't be outside when the mosquitoes are. Wear bug repellent. But they don't tell you that the bug repellent is actually really bad for you. They don't tell you that what they're spraying in your area is really bad for you. This is the reason why you need to boost up your immune system and boost up your neural health. Again, NAD plus helps to heal DNA, help to heal the DNA damage. It'll help with boosting up your energy levels, and it will help with brain function. NAC is a strong antioxidant. It helps to detoxify the cells. It brings up your glutathione levels, which is a strong antioxidant. It's synergistic with C60, and it will also help to improve mental health. Olive leaf extract, boost up the immune system. Really important. Trust me on this, really important. Now, because this is a mosquito-driven infection, right? Nattokinase is really important here. Why? Now, follow me on the logic here. We went through a crisis in 2020. People have either contracted a natural infection and or also had inoculations that cause disruption with our cardiovascular system, and the clotting cascade is problematic. So there's more people that are getting clots. Well, this is through blood, all right? The mosquito pierces the blood, and it happens to have these viruses, either West Nile or EEE or other viruses, all right? So it's going through the bloodstream, and it's causing an inflammatory response. Your body is saying, hey, I have something that's foreign, and it starts creating all these pro-inflammatory cytokines. In the cardiovascular system, that may trigger clotting because of the inflammatory response that's being elicited, all right? Depends on the level of the infection and the health of the individual, and yada, 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 right? Nattokinase helps to break up those clots. So you should be taking nattokinase prophylactically just in case you do get something, to prevent a potentiality cascade that's creating clots. So take the nattokinase. It is fibrinolytic, and it'll help to break up the clots. I also have the digestive enzyme complex on my store that also is proteolytic and fibrinolytic to help with removal of clots. In addition, at higher doses, the nattokinase can also help with your cardiovascular health by lowering the LDL levels and increasing your HDL levels. When you do that, you're actually reducing the chances of building up plaques, because you need LDL oxidized to make foam cells to create plaque. So if you have less LDL and you have less stress, and you're taking antioxidants like NAC and C60, you're reducing plaque, right? So, and by reducing all that, you're reducing that inflammatory response. The turmeric and the ashwagandhas are reducing the inflammatory response. So take the nattokinase to help mitigate the potentiality of eliciting a clot if you get these damn infections from these mosquitoes, all right? Because I have a feeling here that for some people, there's going to be, because of the inflammatory response, some people are going to have a problem with their clotting. It's going to elicit a clot faster, all right, because of the crisis in 2020. So make sure you take the nattokinase. Again, NAC, just to remind you, NAC, because a lot of people don't understand this, NAC helps to bring up your glutathione levels. That's important as an antioxidant. So this NAC is a strong antioxidant. It's synergistic with C60. C60 soaks up those free radicals differently than NAC, but it's synergistic, and it's really bringing down those free radicals. NAC also helps to detoxify the body. NAC also helps with mood, with the mental health. So that's going to be really important, because a lot of people are stressed out, and by that stress, it's triggering issues, and it's also bringing down the immune system by just being worried. So by calming you down, by controlling that, you're adding to the probability of increasing your immune system. So it's really important, NAC. NAD, again, heals the DNA. It repairs the DNA. It gives you energy, right? It's synergistic with niacin and NMN and resveratrol. But in addition, It's also, it will also help with brain function. Okay, so it's neuroprotective. It helps with the neurons. It's going to be a common theme that we're going to have as a problem.
6 or 7 years.
When it comes to human transmission, 1 person tested positive in Montgomery County, 2 in Lancaster, and 2 in Bucks. Just this afternoon, Camden County, New Jersey announced its first human case. The virus can cause serious side effects.
Encephalitis, swelling of the brain, is seen in about 1% of the people who do contract the virus. Most of them go asymptomatic. A lot of them get fever, chills, nausea, that sort of thing.
Mosquitoes can carry other dangerous diseases.
Low probability, high impact. The spraying of the chemicals, higher probability, medium to high impact.
Equine encephalitis was just discovered in Atlantic County, New Jersey. It was also discovered in a town southeast of Boston, prompting park closures and warnings. They've been spraying areas to kill off the bugs.
The fine mist that goes into the air.
And that's what officials in Bucks County are doing as well to try to prevent the spread of illness.
Now, of course, weather.
See, this
does
is the
play a
problem.
really
This
big
is the
role
problem
in
with the
all-
spraying. Does it kill off the bugs that are killing off the mosquitoes that are causing the illness? Yes. But these chemicals also affect your immune system. These chemicals affect your respiratory system. These chemicals affect your endocrine system. These chemicals affect your neurons. So you are being attacked 2 ways: by a mosquito that has West Nile or EEE, and you also are being attacked by the chemicals that are trying to kill off the mosquito. This is why it's so important to detoxify your body with the zeolite. This is why it's so important to detoxify your body with the NAC. And to reduce those free radicals that are being built up by either the infection or from the chemicals that they're spraying. Because this boosts up your glutathione levels, and it'll help to bring down those free radicals. C60, either extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, right? Avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, or MCT coconut oil. The C60 is going to soak up those free radicals in a different way. It's very potent. Take a teaspoon of it a day. Because the infection and the chemicals that they're spraying are going to cause free radicals.
As well, the mosquitoes just love it when it's warm outside like it is right now. So health officials are asking everyone to take some precautions, dump any standing water you might have in your yard, wear long sleeves, and of course, always wear mosquito repellent as well. We're live tonight in Doylestown. John Paul, Channel 6 Action News. Rick?
All right, John, thank you for that report. New Jersey
I
Transit.
tell you, it's just the stupidity. It's just, it gets compounded. It's amazing. It's really amazing out there. Let's see with Chicago. Oh, I didn't even know it.
Well, summer might be winding down, but summer danger is not. Mosquitoes carrying viruses that can make you very sick. One of the country's most recognizable doctors, Anthony Fauci, was just hospitalized for a week with West Nile. Our Sabrina Franz explains the dangers we should all know about tonight. Sabrina?
Hey, Joe, the Cook County Department of Public Health, they rate the current risk level for getting West Nile as high. This as mosquito spraying in DuPage County is scheduled for tonight.
It's the season for pesky mosquito bites. What might start off as scratching an itch could become a serious medical issue.
West Nile is a virus, just like a cold is a virus or a flu is a virus. But this is a virus that gets spread from mosquitoes, mosquito bites.
Dr. Scott Goldstein is a pediatrician with Northwestern Children's Practice.
Typically in the US every year, I think there's thousands of cases.
From the East Coast to the Midwest, these vehicles spray to try to prevent that number from rising. West Chicago has a spray scheduled for tonight.
It gets dispersed into the air pretty quickly and it gets pretty diluted, and it's really supposed to just affect the mosquitoes.
Right now, the Illinois Department of Public Health counts 9 human cases in the state this year.
9 is a pretty small number.
Symptoms of West Nile are hard to distinguish from other typical summer illnesses. Most people don't have symptoms at all,
Those who do present fever, body aches, joint pains, and sometimes a rash.
If they're having severe symptoms, things like severe headache or confusion or trouble walking, things like that, they should definitely seek medical help urgently.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, who headed up the federal response to the COVID pandemic, is recovering from the West Nile virus. He'd been hospitalized for 6 days. The Chicago Department of Public Health compared the data from their last reported outbreak in 2012 to the rates in 2024 so far, concluding that though they say the risk is high, the numbers do not compare to what the county saw over 10 years ago.
West Nile virus cannot be passed from human to human. Experts say symptoms, if any, can last a few days to a couple of weeks. They recommend using insect repellent, wearing loose clothes, and staying away from pools of water at dusk and dawn to minimize risk. Joe?
Thanks, Sabrina.
All right, so, okay, so it's not human to human transmission, just bug, from mosquito to human. Okay, problem, because there's a lot of mosquitoes out there. But the spraying weakens the immune system. That will be a cascade event for other infections during the cold season. So the mpox could maybe take hold easier. RSV may take hold easier. Influenza may take hold easier. SARS-CoV-2 may take hold easier. Now, do you see the problem? There's a cascade event. See, this is where people need to just step away and stop looking at the silo and just West Nile, but look at it in the totality of a weakened immune system in society because of the aftershock of 2020. And I've been saying this for years, and I've been telling you how to mitigate it. Nattokinase helps to break up clots. It's possible that for certain people that clots may actually increase through these inflammatory responses from the bug bites. Okay, so you just want to mitigate that because we have a lot of problems. Our immune systems are trashed. We have issues with clotting, and our cardiovascular system is trashed. So we need to improve. We need to, find ways to improve it. All right. Nattokinase helps to break up clots. My digestive enzyme complex helps to break up clots. They're proteolytic also, the digestive enzymes. And in addition, taking nattokinase in higher doses will help to bring down the LDL levels and help to raise up your HDL levels for your lipid profile. That means that your cardiovascular system is getting healthier, and you're reducing the chances of building up plaques. And by having less LDL, you have less chance of building up foam cells. And that's built up through an inflammatory response because LDL gets oxidized and gets eaten up by macrophages and turns into foam cells. That's what creates the plaque. All right, so this helps with your cardiovascular health, but it also helps with mitigating clots. Right, and I have a feeling that what's going to happen is if a lot of people are getting bug bites this year, that this may create a cascade, an inflammatory response within your vascular system that may cause these, some sort of microclotting issue. All right. Again, NAD+. A lot of people don't know about it, so that's why I keep on repeating myself. NAD+ helps heal damaged DNA, right? It repairs DNA. It helps with boosting up the energy of the cells, and it helps with mental health. All right, really important. I'm sorry. NAD+ helps with neural health. All right. The NAC helps with the mental health, and the NAC is a strong antioxidant. It helps to bring up the glutathione levels, and it helps to detoxify the body. Really important. Olive leaf extract, boost up the immune system. Also helps with the cardiovascular health. K2, MK7 helps with bone health, joint health, and also cardiovascular health, especially if you follow the protocol that I said. And ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is the active form of CoQ10, right? Ubiquinol helps to boost up your energy. It's an antioxidant, and it also helps to protect neurons. So please go to the store and get the ubiquinol. All right, I want to play. A longer video on West Nile. Let's see, share the definitions. I want to jump on this. This is a little bit more of a detailed view. It's West Nile virus disease, effects of B cell depleting therapies. That might be a little bit too. West Nile virus, the first decade. This is a historical version. All right, let's see.
Hello, everybody. I'm Richard Ayler, and Division of Infectious Diseases. Sorry about the typo there. It's very sloppy. With the Morsani School of Medicine, I always like to put that in. So today we're going to talk about a disease which has matured over the last 10 years. Now, depending on our level of involvement in medicine, where we are in our training and so forth, we either may remember this disease very well, or we may think we know it and maybe not know it as well as we should. But nevertheless, West Nile virus over the last 10 years has joined the limited list of encephalitis viruses that we all need to be aware of and we all need to suspect at a certain time of the year. So talking about 10 years ago, how many of us remember this period in American history where there's a lot of paranoia? And, you know, I couldn't believe this. I mean, this was so surprising, so shocking. And of course, many of you think I'm talking about Al-Qaeda. I'm actually talking about the dog that made 60 million as a model. You know, that kind of struck me before anything else. But nevertheless, society has changed very much since that time. And America's next top dog model remains to be seen. So talking about the history of West Nile virus, I think it's important to remember that this is a relatively old virus, but one that we really became aware of at the turn of the 21st century. It really emerged from obscurity in 1999 in New York. Some of you may remember that. It produced 62 cases of encephalitis and 7 deaths. And the means of importation was not initially known. What we do know is it started in the New York area and then spread across the country. And as it spread, there's been very little subsequent genetic evolution. But cases have now been reported in most states across the US and even Puerto Rico. So many of you may know that West Nile virus is a flavivirus, and it's a single-stranded RNA virus with 11,000 nucleotides. And it's been associated with causing the flavivirus, that is, causing human disease in 3 main categories. The hemorrhagic fevers. Who can name a hemorrhagic fever flavivirus? Dengue fever, right? So dengue is a flavivirus that causes yellow fever as well. Encephalitis viruses, such as Japanese encephalitis virus and St. Louis encephalitis virus. And then it's also a cause of febrile illness, and West Nile virus can cause a febrile syndrome. There are 3 phylogenetic clusters that these viruses are categorized under: those with no known vector, those that are tick-borne, and those that are mosquito-borne. And among the mosquito-borne ones include several of the common encephalitis viruses that we all know, like Japanese encephalitis, St. Louis, and West Nile virus. Now, humans are not an amplifying host. Primarily, this is seen among bird viruses, And so we're incidental hosts. We're unfortunate bystanders who get exposed. Now, West Nile virus was called West Nile virus because it was found in the blood of a febrile woman in the West Nile district of Uganda in 1937. And up until recently, it was a well-characterized virus associated with not just humans, but also birds and other vertebrate animals, mostly in Asia, Eastern Europe, and Africa. And interestingly, if you pull up this reference, which I list the reference on the bottom, it was actually thought to be a promising cancer therapy in the 50s. But when they utilized West Nile virus infection, what was interesting is the encephalitis rate was quite high, which probably made it a poor cancer therapy, 11%. And patients had a lot of neurologic symptoms and prolonged viremia. And what was interesting was the virus was noted to have persisted longer in the organs than in the serum. So this is a virus that tends to disseminate in a widespread fashion, and its presence can persist in the peripheral organ tissue, including the brain, for a prolonged period of time. So before 1994, it caused these sporadic cases of febrile illness and neurologic complications mostly in Africa and Eurasia. I've listed several places, including Israel, where there were multiple outbreaks. There was a notable outbreak in 1957 that had many cases of CNS disease. South Africa in 1974. And then in 1974, something changed, call it the sort of the tipping point of the virus or migration patterns or other factors. And there have been a widespread number of outbreaks in many places since 1994, including parts of Europe, Russia, and the former Soviet Union, Israel, and both the United States and Canada. And its main presence in the US has been over the last 12 or 13 years. So the American outbreak, those of you who were along in your medical careers to remember it, in 1999 began in College Point, Queens. And here's a newspaper where it notes, from Staten Island, where it notes West Nile virus shows up in Dongan Hills mosquitoes. And the exact method that it was introduced to the US is not well known, but it's believed to have arrived in either an infected bird or mosquito in the New York area. It then caused this outbreak in the New York area, and later spreading to New Jersey and Connecticut. And it was associated with the appearance of all these multiple dead birds and encephalitis in dogs, cats, and horses. And by the end of the 2001, there were 149 West Nile virus infections, including 18 deaths. And just think about that period of American history, 2001, the year of 2001, where we were dealing with a horrific terrorist attack and a episode of bioterrorism, and then this simultaneous spreading of West Nile virus. It was an exciting time for infectious disease. So what did West Nile virus do over the first 7 years of its existence? Well, here's the neuroinvasive disease incidence map for 1999. You see the green areas representing any West Nile virus activity located mainly in the tri-state area. 2000, you saw a emergence to certain areas south as the birds migrated southward, and then a lot of distribution over New York State and parts of New England. This is 2001, where it first emerged in Florida. The red circles, the red dots are the greatest level of activity here, so you can kind of track this across the U.S. over mostly
2001. There's some key data points zooming out. Now, this could have been a natural event or maybe something more nefarious. In 2001, there was a ramp up within the U.S. defense of having some sort of biological defense, all right, and having offense capability. Funding from the NIH went to laboratories for research. We know what happened because that was the beginnings of the SARS program. All right, in April of 2001. All right. 9/11 happens on September 2001. It just so happens that West Nile virus is popping up in the United States in 2001. It could be a coincidence, but the point I'm making is there are things that are happening where things are either accidentally leaked out or purposefully leaked out while we're doing these experiments for the Defense Department.
In 2003. 2003, we saw a great predominance of cases in the Midwest. And as time went on, you saw the disease peak in the Midwest and then become more prevalent along the coasts. So this is West Nile virus activity in 2011 during last year's season. And human disease cases are in the boldest green color. And as you can see, there were a couple of cases in Southeast Florida, and then non-human activity along our coast of West Central Florida. And so how does the CDC keep track of West Nile virus as well as other encephalitis viruses? Well, they have this thing called ArboNet, and if you go on the CDC website, you'll see that the CDC conducts this active surveillance using this tool. And they've done so over the last 12 years. And it combines reports from human medicine, veterinary medicine, and their national surveillance system. But because West Nile virus is relatively a challenge to diagnose, you have to suspect it and you have to send the appropriate serology. It's not likely overreported, it's more likely to be underreported. And so you can log on to the Florida, the Department of Health for Florida, and you can look at their week-by-week surveillance system for encephalitis disease in sentinel animals. And sentinel animals are usually chicken sources, but they can also be horses as well. So far over the entire history of West Nile virus in the US, there have been almost 29,000 confirmed and probable cases. And about 41% of these cases have involved the more serious form, which is neuroinvasive disease with West Nile. So as I spoke about a moment ago, West Nile virus has this transmission cycle that mainly involves bird reservoir hosts. And mostly these are what are known as passerine birds, like crows and blue jays, those sorts of birds. And so what happens is this time of year, the cold time of year, and of course we've had a very mild winter season, but birds normally have a migration pattern, and the mosquitoes, particularly the mosquitoes that carry West Nile virus, which are known as Culex mosquitoes, typically hibernate by hiding out in warm places. Now, what are warm places? Usually like sewers, underground grating and pipes and stuff. They stay there basically for the cold part of the season. And then when the temperature warms up, all these mosquitoes come out. And we know that mosquito populations can be affected by a number of things. Typically the level of rainfall, standing water, and also the ability of state and local health departments to control the mosquito population. So all that controls how many mosquitoes are out there. So once the warm time of the year comes up, the Culex mosquitoes come out of their hibernation, and they attack mostly birds. And then the birds carry West Nile virus. Some of them have persistent viremia, and they're bitten by other mosquitoes, and the pattern continues. And other birds aren't as hardy, and they die from West Nile virus. So that's why when West Nile virus was fully, in its earliest stages where it was spreading across the country, a common sight you would see would be a lot of dead birds in a community where there was a lot of West Nile virus activities. These things would be, in some cases, literally falling out of the sky with West Nile virus infection. So if this young lady here on the upper right happens to be out and gets bitten by a Culex mosquito infected with West Nile virus, she will become an incidental host. And the same is true with other animals like horses. So as I say here, the major mosquito vectors are in the north, it's Culex pipiens. Here in the south, it's Pipiens quinque fasciatus. And if you see here at the top, that's a Culex mosquito. In the middle, that's a passerine bird. I think that may be I don't know, a yellow-breasted warbler. Who knows? I'm not any bird people around here? No. Okay. And this is interesting. I found this online. This is a horse affected with West Nile virus, essentially with a paralysis. So they've got the horse kind of.
So this is interesting.
Suspended.
This is interesting. So you probably can't see this very well, but this horse is in a barn and it's in a cradle, right? And that cradle suspended from the rafters to keep the weight of the horse off of its feet, because it can't support its weight. It looks like it has problems with the back legs, but maybe even also the front legs. But it definitely looks like the back legs are the problem. But this is why I keep on saying that, you know, high impact event, low probability high impact event that may affect your brain or your neurons, and so you can become paralyzed, or you can have an encephalitis that just keeps on putting so much pressure that you stop breathing, or your heart gives out, or you know, something else, right? So it's low probability, high impact. But the other problem is this, because it is a low probability, high impact, and they're spraying in all these counties and throughout the country, people are going to get problems from the chemicals too. And that's why you have to detoxify your body. You detoxify with NAC, you detoxify with zeolite. Again, if you're on medication, you have to go to your doctor and talk to them about taking zeolite as a detoxifier to make sure that it doesn't inhibit some of the medication you're on, because the zeolite may view your medication as a toxin and try to get it out of your body. So, but for the average person that's not on medication, zeolite, you know, just take it and it will detoxify your body. But I'll tell you, these chemicals, they're going to be disruptive of your immune system, your endocrine system, and your neurons.
From a brace, because the horse is unable to carry its own weight as a result of a neurological disease. Now, you can get West Nile virus not just from mosquito bites. You can also get it from other ways. What are some other incidental ways? This might be a board question. Some other ways you can get West Nile virus. You can get it from transfusions, but nowadays, in the last few years, the local blood banks have gotten very good at screening for West Nile virus infection. You can also get it from transplanted organs. You can get it transplacentally. There are other modes as well. Anything that involves basically exposure to blood can transmit West Nile virus. You can also get it from transplanted organs. I think there was a case of a corneal transplant where someone was exposed, things like that. So what are the major clinical syndromes associated with West Nile virus? And I'll make it simple here. There are three syndromes. Syndrome number one is you're asymptomatic. And that's the majority of cases. About 3/4 of West Nile virus exposures are asymptomatic. So if you go out in the general population and you do serology, you'll find a whole lot of people who are West Nile virus positive who never had symptoms. Approximately 25% have a febrile illness. So this may be somebody who in September, October comes down with a fever. Maybe they had a lot of outdoor exposure and the disease runs its course. Generally speaking, it may be accompanied with a rash. We'll talk about it in a second. But generally, the patients with West Nile fever generally tend to do pretty well. And now the last syndrome is very rare, about 1 in 140 cases. These are the people who develop West Nile virus neurological disease. And that can be a range of symptoms, from encephalitis to meningitis to even acute flaccid paralysis, kind of like what we saw with the horse a couple slides ago. So let's do the math here. If there have been approximately 12,000 cases of neuroinvasive disease over the last few years, and 1 in 140 develop neurologic disease, that means there's between 1.6 and 3.1 million total infections with West Nile virus. It's just that most of them are asymptomatic, and it's really the neurologic disease neuroinvasive disease cases that we tend to diagnose. Now, why do you get neuroinvasive disease? Well, there's some susceptibilities that increase your likelihood of getting severe neurologic disease. Now, here in Florida, we have a lot of elderly people, right? So there's no wonder we have more neuroinvasive disease, because our population tends to be older. And advanced age is one of the most important risk factors for
This is
severe
what I'm
neurologic
talking
disease.
about. When you're older or you just aren't healthy, right? You know, you're younger and you're just not healthy, you have a tendency to manifest these problems easier. You're more susceptible. Because when you're older, your neurons aren't as healthy, your mitochondria isn't as healthy, you have more DNA damage, you have more free radicals. That's why I keep on saying take free radicals, bring down the inflammation, boost up the mitochondrial health. But you also have endocrine disruption. So for a population that is younger and that is just unhealthy because of the endocrine disruption, poor immune system, that aging is faster. That's why there is so much to be learned from the longevity experts and the anti-aging groups, subculture. Take that knowledge and bring it in and try to fight some of these problems that we have. Because I'm telling you, it's about endocrine disruption, neural disruption, immune disruption. And the things that I have on my store and the things that I keep on telling you on how to mitigate some of these problems, all you got to do is just listen and go to the store and purchase those products. And it'll help to boost up the immune system, bring down the free radicals, improve the neural health. And by doing that, you're mitigating the problems. Because what is he saying here? If you're older and you get this problem, you have a higher probability of having the neural diseases, these neurological manifestations of West Nile. The same thing's true if you are even younger and you just are unhealthy, you're going to have more chance of having these problems.
Also, a significantly increased risk of infection in patients who have hematologic infection, hematologic conditions, I should say, they're not infections. So if you have hematologic malignancies and so forth, that increases your risk. Cancer and chemotherapy, and transplant patients particularly are 40 times more likely to develop neuroinvasive disease if they get exposed to West Nile virus. This is something that we need to tell our transplant patients, especially at certain times of the year. And interestingly, CCR5 deficiency may increase the risk of severe disease as well. It's been found. So let's talk a little bit about West Nile fever. What does that involve? Remember, this is the second of the third of the three clinical syndromes associated with West Nile virus infection. So West Nile fever causes the majority of the symptomatic infections. Remember, that's about roughly 25%, because the number that develop neuroinvasive disease is very small. It's usually a self-limited illness. People get symptoms that may include meningeal symptoms, headache, malaise, fatigue. They may get back pain and an abrupt high onset fever, sometimes associated with nausea and vomiting. This rash I'll talk about for a second may occur after the onset of fever. And unfortunately, some patients develop persistent fatigue even after the acute illness. And some patients have a very mild, have very mild manifestations of West Nile virus infection associated with the fever. They may have a low-grade fever, and I suspect that's the majority of cases. You know, how many of us have not felt well one day, we develop a little bit of a fever, next day we feel better, and we say it's a 24-hour flu. This is a patient with the rash associated with West Nile virus. Usually occurs when patients are starting to feel better, they get a rash, and it tends to occur in patients with West Nile fever. As a matter of fact, if you have this rash, it's generally associated with a better prognosis than if you don't have it, because it's less common in the neuroinvasive disease manifestations, usually associated with the chest, back, and arms, and goes away after a few days. West Nile virus CNS disease, however, can be potentially much more serious. It can be an encephalitis, meningitis, or a flaccid paralysis, or even a mixed distribution of those. You get meningeal signs, fever, headache, meningismus.
I think I'd have to research this a little bit more, but I think that the rash with West Nile being a good sign in terms of not going down the road of neurological disease is probably because it's eliciting an immune response that's more robust versus the West Nile virus that elicits the neurological disease. So if you have a good immune response and you're symptomatic, so you have asymptomatic and symptomatic, but then the symptomatic, you have febrile or neurological, all right? The ones that are symptomatic, if they have a more robust activation of the immune system, probably activation of the CD4 positives, if it's more robust, then most likely you're getting the rash. So some sort of sensitivity reaction. And then because it's more robust, it's not allowing it to manifest itself into the neurons. So that's my hypothesis on why that is. It kind of makes sense to me in a way, but that would need further investigation.
Your nuclear rigidity. You may get cranial nerve palsies. We'll talk about the typical pattern of the CSF in just a second. Sometimes that requires hospitalization, and sometimes patients have a persistence of a headache and fatigue, and they may have other more long-term morbidity that's associated with this disease. Again, the severity may range from mild confusion to coma and death. As far as the associated neurologic manifestations, I'll talk about those in just a second. So these were the reported cases of neuroinvasive disease last year with West Nile virus. So we can see in Florida there was a few cases, mostly reported on the Atlantic side of our state. Again, on this side, we tended to have more sentinel reporting of cases in animals rather than human disease. But a lot of West Nile virus neuroinvasive disease, as you can see here, is either sporadic or it's still centered along the coasts. And I have to suspect that may have something to do with the migratory patterns of birds because of the bicoastal predominance, and also in Florida where birds tend to migrate as well. That's speculation on my part. So if you get somebody who has extrapyramidal symptoms during mosquito season, that may be a clue for West Nile virus. Those extrapyramidal symptoms may include a coarse tremor, Parkinsonian features, myoclonus, and also you want to suspect it in anybody who has asymmetric acute flaccid paralysis, which should definitely be a warning sign and sometimes can be misdiagnosed with something else. And they may have cranial nerve palsy, seizures, optic neuritis is also associated with the condition. Now, unfortunately, a lot of patients with this neuroinvasive disease get these very debilitating chronic sequelae. And there was a study that showed that about 54% have symptoms that are longer than a month, and the majority missed work for a median of up to 16 days. It's going to be very debilitating, particularly for the elderly patients. And patients may have prolonged fatigue, they may have memory impairment, balance problems, headache, weakness, and so forth as a result of their infection. So it's really more the debilitating features of West Nile virus that can have a prolonged impact for those who get the neuroinvasive disease. So when they talk about the other
this is why I keep on saying it's all about you need to boost up your immune system and you need to protect those neurons. The weaker it is, the more of a problem. All right, the weaker your system is, endocrine, neurological, or immunological, the more of a problem you have. All right, so that's why you need to kind of listen to me and boost up your immune system, bring down those free radicals, bring down that inflammation, neutralize pathogens. All right, but you also have this other issue with the spraying, with the pesticide spraying, either at the household level or at the community level, at the municipality level. And you're going to be breathing in and potentially even touching these chemicals. And these are going to cause damage to your DNA. They're going to cause damage. They're going to disrupt your endocrine system, and they're going to lower your immune system. So it's important to mitigate that spraying effect. All right. And what did I say? To help boost up your immune system, the moment you have an irritation in your throat, you need to neutralize stuff with the structural nanosilver lozenges and drops, but also irritations like chemicals. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get a couple bags of the blueberry drops. It's in 100 count, or a couple bags of the cherry drops, 100 count, a couple bags of the honey and lemon, whatever your flavor preference is. But the key is to get a couple bags of this for your household the moment you have that irritation, because you don't know when they're going to spray in your community for reducing the population of the mosquitoes. And during the cold season, you don't know when you're going to contract something or not. So if you're going to, if you end up contracting something or breathing in something that's causing an irritation in your throat, you need to take this right away. And so what you need to do is just go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get a couple bags of this for your household and be prepared. The whole idea is to be prepared. Or you can get it in the lozenges form, which is slightly bigger. And the elderberry zinc is in a 1 count, and the manuka honey is in a 21 count. Right? The moment you have that irritation during the cold season or when they're spraying, take those lozenges, neutralize it. C60, very strong antioxidant. All right, I have it in avocado. I have it in extra virgin olive oil, and I also have it in MCT coconut oil. C60 is a very strong antioxidant. It's a molecule that has 60 carbon. It sucks up those free radicals. You take a teaspoon of it a day, every day, and what will happen is you're going to bring down those free radicals, and you're going to slow down the aging process, and the cell's health will improve, and the mitochondria will improve. The health of the mitochondria will improve, and your ATP will go up. That means you're going to have more energy. So that's really important as part of the pillar. Now, it's probably really important, especially when we're going through the mpox season and the cold season, and who knows what's going on with West Nile and EEE, to get the structural nanosilver gel. All right, you put this on your skin, it creates a barrier. It neutralizes pathogens. You can put it around your mouth, around your nose, around your ears, around your eyes, lightly coat your nostrils, and it will create that barrier, but also neutralize pathogens. In addition, by putting this barrier on your skin, you're reducing the chances of these chemicals from harming you. And putting lightly coat your nostrils, you're reducing the chances of it getting into the epithelial lining and getting into your system. That's a way to try to mitigate. It's not a perfect solution, but it's at least something. All right. So please go to the store and get a couple tubes of this because you're going to need it during cold season and during the spring season because of this crazy stuff with the mosquitoes. When you get a bug bite, apply the Even Better bar on the bug bite, and it will mitigate the itching. All right. So you don't scratch and create a larger wound and cause more inflammation and cause potentially a worse situation. So just apply it to the mosquito bite and let it and stop scratching it. All right. That way you're trying to mitigate the issue. This is a multi-purpose bar. It's made from essential oils from the Himalayas. It's all natural, and it's a dual purpose. You can apply it on muscles, muscle ache. Muscle ache is going to be a part of the symptoms. So you apply it on the muscle to alleviate the muscle ache. And it's also a skincare. You can put it on your skin every day, and you'll notice that your skin gets smoother, softer, and there's a little bit of a glow. So it's also a skincare product. But in terms of mosquito bites, if you get a mosquito bite, use the Even Better bar on the mosquito bite, and it'll reduce or eliminate the actual itch in about 30 seconds. All right, so it works pretty fast. Olive leaf extract, really important to boost up your immune system. How does it boost up your immune system? By bringing down those pro-inflammatory cytokines. If you're chronically inflamed, your immune system is down, and you're not going to be able to fight cancers. You're not going to be able to fight bug bites. You're not going to be able to fight as well in the cold season. So it's really important to go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the olive leaf extract. This also is a dual purpose product. It helps with your cardiovascular system by bringing down the LDL levels and bringing up your HDL levels. So it's a dual purpose, helps boost up your immune system and helps to improve your cardiovascular system.
This is a slide from the CDC a few years ago. Think about the fact that you have that small percentage of people with acute illness who are really more obvious, and then under the surface you have people who have perhaps been exposed to West Nile virus who have more long-term effects. And if the disease isn't originally diagnosed, no one's going to really suspect what their long-term neurologic sequelae may be due to. Now, what is the differential diagnosis of encephalitis syndromes in Florida? This is important for you to remember. The major encephalitis diseases in Florida, of course, are St. Louis encephalitis, West Nile are the big two, but occasionally you have Eastern equine. Eastern equine, of course, much more serious. I mean, when we have Eastern equine encephalitis in Florida, it's definitely something you hear about in the media. And because of its generally severe manifestations, it provokes usually the health departments to take additional precautions.
All right, so West Nile virus chances of contracting are higher than EE, Eastern equine encephalitis. All right, chances of getting West Nile are higher than EE. If you get EE, super dangerous. All right. West Nile can be dangerous or super dangerous, but again, 25% are symptomatic, and there's a small group within that 25% that ends up getting the neurological manifestations. But EE is really problematic, but it's rare. But the thing is that your community is going to be spraying to try to kill off these mosquitoes. You're going to have people around you that are using insect repellent in mass. You're going to be breathing this in. You're going to be touching it. It's going to cause DNA damage. It's going to cause problems with your immune system. It's going to create more free radicals, and it's going to disrupt your endocrine system and cause problems with your neurons. Just the chemicals that they're going to be spraying. You need to protect yourself from that. Not just protect yourself from the virus, EE or West Nile, but you need to protect yourself from the actual preventative measures that your community is perpetrating on you. And that is why you have to detoxify your body with zeolite. Zeolite will get rid of heavy metals, toxins, and chemicals out of your body. It is a negatively charged molecule that will attach to positively charged molecules and those toxins, and you can get those toxins out of your body in 6 to 8 hours through urination. And so you take this during that period of time that you're spraying. Best way to do it is take the, do it. You should be using zeolite. You can use the zeolite that I have on the store every day if you're not on medication, or you can use it 2 or 3 times a year as some sort of detox protocol that you do. All right, the zeolite that I have you can take every day, but if you're on medication, you need to talk to your doctor, because the zeolite may inhibit your medication, because the zeolite may bind to your medication and your medication may not work. So you got to talk to your doctor when you use the zeolite if you are on medication. But the thing is that zeolite gets heavy metals out, toxins out, and chemicals out of your body. All right. And by doing this, it's helping your body to heal. Because if you got all these chemicals and toxins in your body, your immune system's down, your endocrine system's disrupted. We have a lot of PFAS out there, these forever chemicals. A way to get rid of the forever chemicals, and I'm going to be doing a video about this in detail, but there is ways to get rid of the forever chemicals out of your body. Zeolite is one of the ways. All right, but you got to do it over a longer duration, and you got to get to the source. You got to stop eating the processed foods. You got to start eating organic. You have to filter your water. So it's changing your diet and get to the source, and then remove it from your body. So the way to filter your water, the best way to do it is to boil your water first. Take your tap water and boil it, and then push it through a filtration system. All right, I push it through a 5-level filtration system by zero water. So you boil the water, let it cool, and then what happens is that there are clays and chalks that are in the water microscopically that can actually bind to, when the water's cooling, that will bind to some of the chemicals that are in the water. And then what will happen is that will settle microscopically, and then you can put it through the filtration system, and your filtration system will filter out these PFAS and these other chemicals and heavy metals. All right, but that's really important. Boil the water, cool it. Once it's cooled down, then filter it through like a zero filtration system. I do a 5-level filtration system. All right, that's taking these PFAS out of your water. Stop eating at restaurants, even if it's a high-end restaurant. That most likely the food's there, in terms of quality, the food isn't that good. All right, if you really want to analyze it. All right, so reduce your intake of eating out, and eat organic, right? And stay away from the pesticides, stay away from, some of these, these chemicals that are in processed foods. And then take the zeolite, and it's going to take out these toxins. That's one way to do it. And then you add to that by doing things like, because you got to remember, these chemicals are affecting your cells and causing a lot of free radicals. That's why I keep on saying, go to the store and get the C60. You want to soak up those free radicals. All right, so you're detoxifying your body and you're getting rid of those free radicals. So you're taking the C60 to boost up the health of the cell and the mitochondria of the cell. All right, so I have this in extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and MCT coconut oil. And you take a teaspoon of that a day. All right, another way is to add the NAC to this protocol that I'm telling you: the zeolite, the C60, and the NAC. The NAC boosts up your glutathione levels, which is a strong antioxidant, but it also helps to detoxify your body. In addition, it's also going to help to maintain this mood health, right? A lot of this chemical endocrine system disruption that's around us is affecting our brain. Some of this ADHD and mood disorders and all this is because of the chemicals that are around us. So the NAC will help to detoxify that out of your body. It'll help as a strong antioxidant by bringing up the glutathione levels, and it'll also help to improve mental health. So please go to the store and get the NAC. Very, very important. So it's NAC C60 zeolite. All right. Filter your water. Stop eating processed foods. That's how you're going to slowly detoxify this out of your body. And then you can do some other things like colon cleanses or liver cleanses or kidney cleanses and stuff like this. All right. C60 zeolite NAC. Detoxify your body.
Advisories for Floridians. Venezuelan encephalitis, less common but can occur in Florida. So think about those different encephalitis conditions in Florida during the appropriate times of the year. So you definitely want to have a clinical suspicion for West Nile virus in anybody with unexplained neurologic symptoms, fever, encephalitis, meningitis, or flaccid paralysis during mosquito season, which is generally speaking, encephalitis season is the late summer, the late summer. We're talking like September for the most part. You don't see a lot of encephalitis cases in May, June, or July. Generally tends to be the end of the summer. You want to be aware, however, that in tropical places like Florida, theoretically,
this is going to lead right into the cold season. So you have a weakened immune system from the chemicals that they're spraying, and then all of a sudden there's going to be potentially more people that get in influenzas and the mpoxes and the other respiratory viruses like SARS-CoV-2 or RSV or whatever, right? Or it's putting us into a zone at the societal level that the whole immune system is down. So you need to detoxify your body from the chemicals that they're spraying to kill off these insects.
Transmission. Now, this is a subject of confusion. How do you diagnose West Nile virus? Well, the most readily practical way of diagnosing West Nile virus is with specific serology. So in a febrile patient with suspicion of West Nile fever, there's a test called a West Nile virus IgM MAC ELISA. And generally you want to collect it, but within 2 weeks of symptom onset. Sometimes you can collect it too early, which is why you always want to think about, acute and more convalescent serology. But the West Nile virus IgM MAC ELISA of serum is what you order in a patient with suspicion of West Nile virus fever. If you have somebody with CNS disease, you want to obtain an LP and send it for a West Nile virus IgM serology. Now, why is the IgM useful in the serum? Does anybody know?
It goes up first. It goes up first.
Why is it significant to see IgM in the CSF? Why does it signify neurologic disease? It's because IgM antibodies are too large to cross the blood-brain barrier on their own. You generally have to have CNS disease in order to develop antibodies in the CSF. So it suggests that they have neuroinvasive disease. Were you going to say something, Ewan? No? Okay. Now, generally, those are screening tests. If you want to order a confirmatory test, you order what's known as a West Nile virus.
I want that.
Is the IgM useful in the serum? Does anybody know? Excuse me, in the CSF. Why is it?
CSF.
Why is it significant to see IgM
All right.
in the
See,
CSF.
all right,
Why
the IgM in the CSF. That's just the spinal fluid, cerebral spinal fluid. It's in the cerebral spinal fluid.
to signify neurologic disease? It's because IgM antibodies are too large to cross the blood-brain barrier on their own. You generally have to have CNS disease in order to develop antibodies in the CSF. So it suggests that they have neuroinvasive disease. Were you going to say something, Ewan? No? Okay. Now, generally, those are screening tests. If you want to order a confirmatory test, you order what's known as a West Nile virus neutralizing antibody titer, or NAT. And generally, you want to order an acute and convalescent serology specimen. So if you see a fourfold rise in the titer of the West Nile virus NAT test, it confirms acute infection. You just have that change in the serology over time, in the titer rather. There is a West Nile virus PCR that's available, but it's of limited utility because the viremia that occurs with West Nile virus tends to be transient and low level. So this is a disease really diagnosed acutely by serology. Patients can have prolonged IgM antibodies in the serum. So just because you're West Nile virus IgM positive, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have acute infection, right? To have acute infection, you need to have acute and convalescent serology with the NAT test, and you need to show a rise in the titer. And that's why you do that confirmatory test. Now, the other thing is if you've been exposed to yellow fever or Japanese encephalitis virus vaccines, you can have a false positive ELISA. And the ELISA also cross-reacts with other flaviviruses. So if you've had St. Louis encephalitis virus or dengue, you may also develop this positive ELISA for West Nile virus. So that's important to keep in mind. Also, you want to make sure you take that history and see if maybe somebody has been traveling in the Caribbean, as they're prone to do from here, and whether they have risk factors for dengue or one of the other flaviviruses that cause encephalitis. So generally, when you do an LP in a patient you suspect of West Nile virus, you see CSF pleocytosis, usually with a neutrophilic predominance. You may see elevated protein and glucose. In studies, the mean CSF nucleated cell count is around 200 roughly. And you may see plasmacytoid lymphocytes as well as a presenting feature. Now, how about treatment? Unfortunately, here this reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Homer Simpson, his doctor tells him, "You're in luck. We can tell you what we have. We can tell you what you have. We just can't do anything about it." That's the thing. We can diagnose this, but in terms of treatment options, they tend to be more supportive. So, unfortunately, there have been some different therapy investigations, but only really one controlled study done to date with results that weren't that ideal. They've looked at such treatments as alpha-2b interferon and ribavirin. The alpha-2b interferon treatment was based on in vitro and animal model data and 2 anecdotal cases. The ribavirin had in vitro activity, but was not found to have efficacy in an animal model and in human subjects. And they actually looked at IVIG, and that showed no benefit in a single randomized placebo-controlled trial. So generally, these patients get supportive care. If they have encephalitis symptoms or seizures, their treatment is supportive. If they have fever, again, their treatment is supportive as well. So that leads us to prevention. And of course, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Did I say that correctly? I didn't, my apologies. So you want to make sure that you advocate personal protection measures and awareness among patients at those times of the year. Yeah. I did actually mention the PCR. Yeah, and generally speaking, I think the problem with the PCR in the CSF, it may relate to the low level viremia, but also I think that the viremia tends to be more transient. So the thought is it's easier to detect antibodies to IgM in the CSF. I'm not aware of a practical use of the PCR. Have you diagnosed a case with the PCR before from the CSF? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that brings up an important point about, a common question that we get is, how do you order West Nile virus serology or West Nile virus tests? Of course, they go through the state health departments. So generally speaking, if you suspect a West Nile virus case, you notify the state health department, they do the testing, and if they need to refer the case further to the CDC, they have the capability to do that. There may be some PCR tests, but again, I think you have to question a single PCR value, and to my understanding, serology is still considered the gold standard over the PCR. So, but if we can chat about whether that has changed. I'm not aware that it has, but
now what is interesting here is that this video was done. This lecture was done 12 years ago. So the advancements in PCR in terms of other tissues and applying it to understand which type of pathogens are in certain types of tissues have improved. All right. For West Nile, I'd have to look at what the standard is. It's probably still IgM, but just keep that in mind. But that's for encephalitis. I mean, you're going to have enough viremia in other tissues outside of the CSF to be able to diagnose.
So just getting here to prevention again, letting your patients know about protection measures. How many times do we really talk to patients about mosquito repellents and personal protection with regard to mosquitoes in the summertime? There are blood donor screening programs, and there have actually been some animal vaccines, including 4 equine West Nile virus vaccines now licensed, and a live attenuated virus chimeric vaccine was shown to be effective in monkeys. But human vaccines are unlikely to be available for several years. And so we're still prevention is going to be the most important thing, but unfortunately that prevention won't include vaccines. So my summary here, remember that we've had a now 13-year history of West Nile virus infection. It's really become more of a low-level type of disease, which can occur in tropical climates at any time of the year, but really more is of highest prevalence during encephalitis season, which is in the late summer. And you can have a wide variety of clinical manifestations. Again, most people have asymptomatic disease, followed by a febrile illness, followed by neuroinvasive disease. It's usually self-limited if it's West Nile fever, but you can have significant prolonged symptoms. West Nile neuroinvasive disease tends to occur among the elderly and immunocompromised, can have severe manifestations and prolonged sequelae. The gold standard of diagnosis is by serum and CSF serology. And again, treatment is largely supportive. And maybe if I give this talk again in 5 years, we'll have a West Nile virus vaccine that's available. And I suspect it won't really be offered to everyone, but really people who are at higher risk. Kind of like similar to what many of you may remember, there was a Lyme disease vaccine offered a few years back, which ultimately was withdrawn. But the idea was if you're at risk for exposure, maybe you want to consider this, particularly if you're one of the groups of patients who are likely to have more severe disease. And with that, I will take any questions.
All right. I think that was a good overview of West Nile. I probably need to do a video that goes into the details of the genomics of it. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the NAD+. This helps with energy. It helps to heal the DNA that's been damaged from stress. It also is it also helps to improve brain function and neural health. Nattokinase, really important to take to make sure you don't get blood clots. I'm concerned that if people are getting these mosquito bites, that potentially it creates an inflammatory cascade that may cause these microclots. So I would say that please go to the store and get the nattokinase. You should be taking nattokinase every day to just as a cardiovascular health supplement, because with nattokinase, you're reducing clot formation, but you're also at higher doses. You can bring down your LDL levels and increase your HDL levels and improve your cholesterol level. People that take nattokinase in higher doses mitigate the need for statins. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, especially if you take it with red yeast rice. So please go to the store, get the nattokinase, really important. Ubiquinol. It's the active form of CoQ10. Should be taking this every day. In addition, this is an antioxidant. It will help with energy levels and help to improve your neural health. So that's going to be important, especially with the crazy stuff that's going on with the spraying, right? Because this stuff that's going to be spraying is going to be affecting your endocrine system. It's going to create free radicals, and it's going to affect your immune system and your neurons. So you want to improve your neural health, and you also want to take stuff that will mitigate the stress on the cell. So ubiquinol is really important for that. So ubiquinol is the active ingredient for CoQ10. So please go to the store and get the ubiquinol. Again, it is an antioxidant. It helps with neural health, and it will help with energy levels. Vitamin K2, MK7, this is the MK7 molecule. This helps with bone health and also cardiovascular health, really important. So please take this every day. K2 helps to absorb calcium, helps to remodel the bone, but also if you take it with D3 and turmeric and ashwagandha, C60, omega-3, and nattokinase, what you'll notice is that you're mitigating the chances of building up plaque, and the plaque that you did build up over the years can slowly reduce. So if you take the K2, MK7, and some other things, like I said, then you can mitigate the buildup of plaque and you can reduce it. So it's cardiovascular health and for bone health. It's a great supplement. You should be taking that every day. So I've given you ways to mitigate the problem. It's important to detoxify your body. Detoxify your body by taking the NAC, by taking the zeolite, right, and bringing down those free radicals. You want to bring down those free radicals with the C60, and you want to bring down those free radicals with ubiquinol, and the NAC also helps with bringing down free radicals because it brings up the glutathione. Thank you for listening. I wasn't able to cover some of the other stuff that I wanted to cover. I'll do that in another video. Thank you for listening. Please share the links. Please ask your social media to follow me. And have a nice day.